Star Wars. I've always been a huge fan. To celebrate the new film, I've compiled 4 semi-related Star Wars ghost stories. I know the correlation may be a bit loose on this one, but hey, it's to celebrate Star Wars, a great childhood memory of mine, playing the games, Jar Jar Binks, and that stuff. So give me a break on these ones if you thought the Star Wars references were a tad too loose. At least you were entertained, right? And they are good ghost stories, just semi-related to Star Wars. So without further ado, grab a blanket, turn off your lights, and let's travel together to a galaxy far, far away. I just want an answer for all of this. At age 11, a friend and I were really big on making videos. I was supposed to be at my mom's house, helping her move. Instead, I was at my dad's and was hanging out with that friend. At around 11 p.m., we decided on making a video of him playing Star Wars Force Unleashed. This was before we knew about HD PVRs, if they even existed back then. With the camera pointed right at the TV, he played. It lasted around 10 minutes, until the viewfinder on the camera faded to black. Then in a split second, it came back, but not on the TV. It showed what appeared to be my living room. And there was an old, almost decrepit-looking lady with long, nappy black hair, with no eyes, just eye sockets. I looked into what seemed endless blackness that was supposed to be her eyes. The lady waved, and then the viewfinder faded to black again, and back to the TV screen. I screamed, "What the fuck?" and stopped the video. We must have watched 100 times. It happened. I was not imagining it. I was a baby back then and deleted the video. As years go by, ever so often, the same lady will appear in pictures I take. The house we currently live in is at my mom's. The one she was moving into the weekend of the video's recording is haunted. Is it possible that the ghosts were just saying hi to me? Or am I experiencing something much more sinister? Poltergeist Activity at childhood home. This is about my childhood home, which I lived until I was 12. Strangely, things out of the ordinary only started happening when I was about 10. I only have one experience that happened to me personally. I would like to tell you about this. Right, so basically me, my mom, my baby sister, and my brother were in the living room. What we were doing at this time, well, my brother was reenacting his favorite film of all time, Star Wars: Phantom Menace, and was getting really into it, I might add. Lightsabers and sound effects. My mom stood filming him on her new camcorder. So after a good 20 minutes of him being cute, something happened. I heard a click, and me and my mom turned to the kitchen door on our left. The door slowly opened until it was slightly ajar. The door had a hook latch. Straight after the opening, the latch swung so fast in circles it was impossible to tell how many times it spun around. After about 5 seconds, it just stopped. Only me and my mom saw the incident, as my brother was too entranced in his act. Unfortunately, my mom only turned her head and not the camera towards the door. She actually had the camera facing me, and my expression is being filmed as this is happening. It was very strange, to say the least. After it all happened, we went over the recording for the first 20 minutes to see if anything showed up. My brother had been running up and down the room so many times near the kitchen door. There was nothing really obvious. But then, suddenly there was something. The latch on the door was somehow upright, in a horizontal position most of the time, through the recording prior to the incident. Now, we were that shocked at what was happening that we were experimenting to see if we could replicate what happened with the latch. We couldn't manage to keep it up horizontal, and we also couldn't spin it as fast. I believe this was paranormal, and I will be posting other stories that other people experienced in this house another time. Thanks. Imperfect Precognition. I have precognitive abilities. It means I can see the future. I dream of certain events that come true after a day or two, maximum a week. My parents have it too, and my brother just might have it. I think it runs in the family, since my great uncle can channel bioenergy and, among other things, see the future. The problem is that neither my parents nor I see important events. We only see it in dreams, and we don't know if it was a dream or a vision of the future. The first one I had was in January 2012, and it was about a video game I bought, Star Wars: Empire at War, if anyone wants to know. Anyways, the night after I bought it, I saw a scene from the game in a dream. The next day I was playing the said game and saw the scene that I dreamed. I was stunned, and I had no reasonable explanation for it, as I have never played the game before, and I didn't watch any videos of it on the internet. A few days later, we went to see our relatives from Australia, and I dreamt of my cousin hidden behind a curtain. The next day, we were talking, and my cousin's younger brother embarrassed her. And because of that, she decided to hide behind a curtain. It couldn't have been a simple deja vu, as we haven't met until that day, due to my uncle, their father, leaving my homeland 3 years before my birth. My great uncle, however, can control the ability, and does see important events. I'm not sure how far his ability extends, as I didn't get a chance to ask. But some friends of his were trying to have a baby, and they just couldn't. The wife was 46, so very unlikely to get pregnant. And one day my great uncle's wife told him that they need advice from him, and he answered, "Just call them and tell them they'll have a son soon." And they did. I really want to improve my precognition, so does anyone have any advice? P.S. I can't go to my great uncle because he lives far, far away from me. Any sort of help is useful. It followed me from home. When I was 13 to 14 years old, after school one day, my friend Lisa asked me if I wanted to come over to her place, maybe to watch a movie and eat some candy, since her parents and siblings were going to visit her aunt. So I said, sure, I think I can. Later that day, no one could drive me down to her, so I had to walk. Luckily, it was summer, so I wasn't freezing to death. But as I was halfway towards her place, she's around 3 to 4 kilometers away, I noticed something was following me, so I quickly turned around, and no one was there. I just thought it was my imagination, so I kept on walking. As I came to her house, I still felt something looking right at me from behind, but I tried to ignore it as best as I could. I rang their doorbell, and her mother came out, and I went inside to her room. We were just there talking about normal stuff, and after we went to the store to buy some candy for when her parents leave. But as we walked, she kept turning her head around, and she kept doing it a couple times. "What is it?" I asked her, and she just replied, "Oh, nothing. I just felt like someone was watching us." I didn't reply, and thought it might just be a bird or something watching us. As it became dark, and her parents left, we put on Star Wars, can't remember which one, and we ate candy while watching. Suddenly, we heard something downstairs, like some boxes were moved, so we went downstairs and checked. But nothing was to be found, so we went back up and kept on watching Star Wars again. Then it came again, and we were really frightened. "Let's just turn the TV off and go to my room instead," she said, and we took the candy and put the movie on pause. When we had just walked 3 steps, Star Wars suddenly started again, and the TV went on. She screamed and jumped and quickly turned off the DVD player and the TV, and we ran into our room and closed the door. We jumped into her bed and put her blanket onto our laps. "What just happened?" "I have no idea," I replied. Then we heard the boxes were moving again for a few seconds. Then we heard something started to walk up the stairs. We froze. We were really scared and were frozen in terror. But as the steps reached the top of the stairs, they stopped, and she quickly grabbed her cell phone to call her mom. But as fast as she got it up, we heard their house phone start to ring. It rang for about 30 seconds before it stopped, and then we heard the steps again. But they were headed towards her bedroom door, the room that we were in, and then right at the door, it stopped again. We were just sitting there in terror until we heard her parents' car coming up the driveway. We were really happy, and we heard them come up the stairs, and we heard nails scratching on the walls all the way to her bedroom door. And suddenly it opened quickly, and Lisa screamed again. But it was her parents this time. "What were you guys doing in bed? Weren't you gonna watch a movie?" "Maybe they were kissing." Lisa got angry at her parents and said, "No, we were hiding from that strange thing in the house." "What strange thing?" they asked. But we couldn't explain it, and the parents thought that we were just imagining it. So after, we were so confused, and I was so scared what it might have been. Maybe it was the thing that followed me from home.